More than 1/4 of prisoners exonerated by DNA evidence have been shown to have falsely confessed to crimes they did not commit. I should know. I am Yusef Salam, one of the Central Park Five.
When it comes to false confessions, it's believed that nearly 40% of them involve teens. In today's Freedom Files, Wrongfully Convicted, we chat with Jeffrey Deskovic, who went to prison at 17. His story is a warning to us all. Innocent people do confess to crimes they did not commit. Earlier, Eric and I caught up with him.
November 17th, 1989. The two-day search for 15-year-old Angela Carrera comes to an end after police find her raped and beaten body in a wooded area in Peekskill, New York.
I just knew of Angela because she was a classmate, but we weren't friends. We didn't move in any of the same social circles.
Police zero in on 16-year-old Jeffrey Deskovic.
I was kind of like a sentimental kid, and this was really my first brush with death. But the police interpreted my being emotional as some outward sign that I was sorry for what I had done.
Jeffrey, who has his own dreams of being an officer one day, is told by police that they need his help to crack the case.
And they made me feel important. They made me feel the center of attention.
Without a parent or a lawyer with him, over a span of 7 hours, Jeffrey is interrogated and given 3 polygraph tests.
They put me in a small room and gave me countless cups of coffee. Just for the purpose of getting me wired up. So he invaded my personal space. He raised his voice at me and kept asking me the same questions over and over again. Towards the end of the interrogation, he said to me, "What do you mean you didn't do it? You just told me to do the polygraph test result if you did."
Gripped by fear, Jeffrey lies and confesses to the crime.
By the time everything was all said and done, I had collapsed on the floor into a fetal position, trying to control it.
He is arrested and charged with first-degree rape and second-degree murder. A rape kit is presented at trial, but Jeffrey's DNA isn't a match.
In order to explain away this DNA, the prosecutor got the medical examiner to commit fraud.
The medical examiner tells jurors that he forgot to document medical evidence on the autopsy that shows the victim was sexually active. Therefore, the DNA mismatch doesn't matter.
And I was really shocked. I mean, I actually couldn't believe my hearing.
Jurors are told that Jeffrey strangled Angela in a jealous rage, and he is found guilty. Jeffrey earns his GED and associate's degree and studies his case daily.
And I had to hold it together because I knew that nobody was coming to my rescue.
His other daily struggle is keeping his conviction a secret from other inmates.
And we have that title of rapist, and that's considered to be the bottom of the totem pole, and the other prisoners, they take on like a vigilante type of mentality.
One instance leaves Jeffrey fighting for his life after inmates discover his true conviction and beat him with a 10-pound weight. In January of 2006, the Innocence Project takes Jeffrey's case, and the DNA evidence is put into a new database. Months later, the system matches the DNA to another convicted murderer.
So I remember when I got the news. I remember I was in Sing Sing, and I remember the guard opened my cell and told me I had a visit. And she told me that you're going home tomorrow.
After 16 years in prison, Jeffrey is released and his conviction is overturned. His indictment is dismissed on grounds of actual innocence.
Jeffrey, welcome to DBL. Thank you for sharing your story. Now, I want to talk to you about your confession. Why did you admit to something you know you didn't do?
Because I was threatened, I was coerced. That was over a 7-hour interrogation, and I was 16 years old.
Your mom didn't even know. You said that you were in a fetal position underneath the desk at the end of it. Was that the worst part of the interrogation? Walk us through it, or were there other parts that when you look back in hindsight as an adult, it makes you shudder?
Just being attached to a polygraph machine, being put into a small room. You know, I wasn't used to talking to adult males, and for just the third-degree tactics that the polygraph is engaged in, I mean, invading my personal space, raising his voice at me, asking the same questions over and over again, getting more ferocious as each hour passed, and really just being in fear of my life. I mean, the fact that I didn't know where I was and that nobody else knew where I was either, it loomed very large in my mind. So all of those things were terrifying.
You know, as tragic as your story is, it's unfortunately incredibly common. What is a common misconception about confessions?
That an innocent person would never confess, whereas coerced false confessions have been the cause of wrongful conviction in 25% of the DNA-proven wrongful convictions. And while adults have given coerced false confessions, particularly vulnerable populations are people with mental health issues and also youth. So I think that's the biggest thing. The second thing is that I don't think the public understands that a lot of times in the course of these interrogations, the police give the suspects details of the crime, which when the person being questioned gives the false confession, they incorporate those details that they were already given into the story. The prosecution turns around and says, well, look, those are details that only the killer would know. Every time the wrong person is convicted, it leaves the actual perpetrator free to strike again. You know, that happened in my case. The actual murderer committed a second crime. He killed a school teacher and mother of two. So I really see this as a public safety issue and about accuracy and justice.
You are just an incredible human being. You know, throughout all of this adversity, you have managed to persevere, and we understand that congratulations are in order because you recently got your law license. How are you hoping to make a change?
Sure. So I did start a nonprofit, the Jeffrey Deskovic Foundation for Justice, using some of the compensation that I got, and we've been able to get 8 people home that are wrongfully imprisoned, and we've been able to help pass 3 laws. I am intending to represent some of the clients of the foundation myself. I got tired of sitting in the front row of the courtroom. I wanted to be able to sit at the defense table. You know, wrongful conviction is a countrywide problem. It's better to prevent wrongful convictions, as great as it is to exonerate. So I think that the policy work is just as important. So I see the law license and having an application in that as well.
Amen. Right. Wow. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. For those of you looking to learn more about Jeffrey's story, check out his documentary, Conviction, which is available on Amazon. And if you want to help him fight for others, visit his nonprofit, the Deskovic Foundation. Thank you so much, Jeffrey.
Thank you for having me on.